All right, Brandon, welcome back. Sorry for interrupting your goon sesh again. I know you're on the road, training, getting those reps in. You should announce your dates coming up. I know you don't want to admit to your friends and family that you're doing open mics
in Watsonville. Come out and see me. I'm opening up for New Tien, the Hot Laotian act.
Everybody catch him this weekend in Vacaville, California.
Yeah, I will be also doing the. Sorry if I was unable to go to the taco truck throwdown.
Well, you don't want to wait hours in line for tacos that you would get a lot faster at the taco truck?
Yeah.
I shouldn't even hate. I've never been to a taco truck throwdown. I just imagine it would be a lot of waiting in lines.
I would just imagine somebody from anywhere other than where we live would think that's the absolute worst thing you could do in your life.
Go to a taco truck throwdown? Why do you think that? How specifically far away from where we live?
I would say from like Kings County, anywhere from outside of Kings County, and then because like you said, like the food at those places at that taco truck throwdown is like literally you can like throw a rock and hit somewhere like somewhere fucking way better places that are there, in my opinion.
Yeah, if I'm going to be like completely open and honest, that's part of my problem with it is like the idea that there should be a lot of selection. And I mean, there has to be because they always tout that there's like 30 plus taco trucks or something like that. But they're all taco trucks. And like you said, throw a rock. Like there's taco trucks on every corner.
Yeah. So. But I mean, I've never been to one either, but I just, I have self-hatred and I don't like where I grew up. So
I just can't do lines. I mean, I can do lines for certain things, but I kind of refuse to do lines for food because I know that I will hate myself too much.
I was like, don't lie. You don't have to lie. I go,
don't do lines. Don't do rails. No. Because I don't want to find out that food is fucking overhyped and be like, dude, I fucking waited in line for this because I know how much a line artificially like boosts the cred of like food and stuff. And like people who talk about like, oh, we went over here and we stood in line for 2 hours to get this barbecue. I'm like, dude, no food is worth that. I'm sorry. Like I'll pay a premium for food if I know it's legit ass food, but I don't like being made to wait. I don't feel like that's like part of the fun for me at all.
Yeah, like waiting is a crazy amount, like 45 minutes. If it's like, okay, but like I'm not gonna be waiting in like hell. Like if it's for like a good restaurant and you're gonna go sit down for 2 hours, okay, maybe, but that's still a long time.
Yeah, and like I understand that sometimes you have to wait, like if you didn't make reservations or something like that. But like the places that are like artificially hyped up because some like food Instagrammer like covered them like on their stories or something like that or made a reel and now everybody's like lined up around the block for it when it's like, yeah, that place has been there, guys. Like
well, especially like Fresno food places because like I've been like now that I travel hella, like I've been traveling a lot. So like in LA, San Diego, up here where I'm at now, like Sacramento area, I would probably wait in line for them, but I don't have to because the people here like have spines. You know what I'm saying? They're not like worms that roll wherever their fucking Instagram reels tell them to go.
They're not fucking barracudas. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my god. Wow. Pussy and penis pancakes? OMG. I better tag all my fucking friends in this. Like, come on.
Yeah, hell yeah. This was on Fresno Uncensored, fool.
All right, Islam Makhachev knocked out Alexander Volkanovski this past weekend, UFC 294. So we don't let ourselves keep bagging on Fresno too much. By the way, where the fuck is Fresno? Why are we talking about Fresno? We're not from there. That's not where we're from.
Dude, I wish I was from Fresno. That's how fucking shitty things are going for me, dog.
So this
Come and
past,
see.
uh
I will be in New London this Saturday at the
so
Ice House.
let me start this. So this past
Oh,
weekend, UFC 294 happened, and that happened in Abu Dhabi in the UAE. And I really wish that Johnny Walker would have remembered that, because maybe we would have saw that fight come to a satisfying finish.
yeah.
But this was a fucking wacky ass card from beginning to end. I would say that the main event saved it. Did this card not feel like it was absolutely flying by? Did you watch it live? Or like, were
Yeah,
you?
I watched every last minute of it.
Yeah, dude. Like I woke up relatively early and I watched most
Yeah.
of the card.
Yeah.
And it still felt like it just was blazing by. Like the main card was like over in like what, 2 hours?
The main card was super fast because it was just like uh, basically it was I don't
Saeed,
want
uh-huh.
okay,
Saeed round one, guillotine
that
choke.
was but I mean that dude sucked that he fought, but
Yeah.
that was
Ikram Aliskerov round one, flying
fuck that
knee
wild.
and
But the
finish
guy
over Warley Alves.
had no Worley Alves, I mean, I don't know, but there's just so many crazy mismatches. It was just like it was basically like we've talked about it before where the WWE gets paid by like oil barons, oil sultans to like that's what it looked like to me, where it's like set matches where it's like Stone Cold against John Cena and The Rock, and they were all, but there just wasn't an obscene amount of money. They just had these dudes fighting Indian guys, and it was just it was like fucking the Roman Coliseum, dude.
Yeah, this was a little bit of like old school, like Strike Force, fucking mid lifespan Bellator kind of matchmaking, like you said.
It
Not every,
was
a lot of it is kind of a squash match, not super competitive. I mean, the main and co-main event, very intriguing fights, and
absolute.
I think we were blessed that they were able to call an audible like so late in the game and put these fights together so that it actually saved the card. But
Yeah.
even then, though, like I think both of us were pretty confident in our picks, given that the guys had so little time to prepare.
Right.
That yeah, this was like an easy card to pick. I don't think anybody was picking Magomed Ankalaev and Johnny Walker to go to a no contest, but we'll get to that in a bit. Islam Makhachev, Alexander Volkanovski. I don't think I really asked you who had more to lose in this fight in our breakdown episode, but
I do. I mean, I think Makhachev had way more to lose, but I think after this, this was definitely earmarked as like when shit turned into like, you know what I mean? We'll have to dog ear this, where it's like, was this the downfall of possibly one of the greatest fighters of all time?
it's crazy what changes, in a few weeks, because Volkanovski is looking like a guy who, people were still saying that they think he was the pound for pound number one fighter even after he lost to Islam earlier this year. And it's kind of crazy because if we would have talked about it on the previous episode, I definitely would have agreed with you and said I think Islam Makhachev has more to lose here. His title's on the line. He's fighting a guy that a lot of people are going to be saying is the smaller fighter coming up and challenging him. So a loss here definitely would have looked very bad for Islam. But and this is definitely a hindsight is 2020 take. But now that it happened and it went down the way it did, I kind of feel like Islam still had more to lose, but Volk had a lot to lose too, because the entire outlook on his status as a fighter right now, or not status as a fighter, but people's forecasting if he's still going to remain at the top of the pecking order at featherweight is totally changed. And if Islam would have lost this fight, they would have done a trilogy, no doubt. So he still would have had his crack at it. Now Alexander Volkanovski's looking at a future where he's never going to get another shot at Islam. Like the stars would really have to align for that to happen.
Yeah, there's no way. But I mean, Max Holloway got it against him, so I mean, you never know. But it's a different set of circumstances. But I think he had more to lose, had by losing the way he did, if he would have lost the way he did previously, where a close decision, then it would have been like net positive because he would have had the plausible deniability of it being like, hey, dude, he barely fucking beat me. It was on 10 days. I fucking hadn't trained. He had everything, all the excuses, but it sounded like borderline. Like, I don't know how to explain this without it sounding harsh, but like borderline mental illness is what was like what homie was fighting demons in there, dude. Like, bro, you don't have to take this fight. Like, no one is like, and I guess but for money, yeah. So he got paid, and it was crazy. It must have been a crazy amount because Islam was like, he got paid. He came to get fucking paid. So fucking what? He said that all weekend long. Like, he got paid. He knows why he's here. He's not here for anything. He wouldn't have brought his belt. His belt's not here. Which, do you believe that? Do you think Volk would have put the featherweight belt on the line on 10 days notice with what? Because Islam kept saying, I have more to lose. If this is my belt, you're just coming in for money. Like, this is for, which I didn't understand because he talks weird. And, like, I was just like, I don't know what's the guy supposed to do, but now seeing how it went down, like, damn. But fuck, that kick was insane, and so many people that you and I respect, like the Weasel, Jack Slack, have all mentioned like this Volk's gonna get head kicked sooner or later. I just didn't expect it to be fucking a muzzy grappler. You know what I mean? Like, you thought it was gonna be fucking, I don't know, like you said, Yair, or you thought it was going to be somebody like that. It wasn't supposed to be Volk that was going to fucking head kick this fool.
Islam, yeah.
Islam.
And like Yair was the person who I was kind of afraid of that a little bit because, like you mentioned, a lot of the analysts that we follow have pointed out how close he's come to eating head kicks in the past, or actually has kind of like eaten, grazing head kicks. So I think that it's kind of like showing another layer of the onion for Islam Makhachev, that he was able to pick up on that and make those adjustments. And
he's sneaky striking. Jack Black did a fight primer breakdown of what he does with his shoulders. He's like, he has an awkward way of striking. It doesn't look like aesthetically pleasing, but he changes his head level and he changes his shoulder angles, and it makes guys move into like those looping, like he does this weird thing with his shoulders and he hits you with an uppercut, or he'll do this weird thing with like feint a takedown, and then he'll hit you with the right cross. Like, the way he does it, it doesn't look right, but it's Sambo fucking kick. It's Sambo, aka kickboxing mixed. So you can definitely see that now. He's like the epitome of Sambo fucking champions of sport coming to San Jose and like learning fucking kickboxing from the dudes at AKA.
Yeah. And the way he did it, I think I have to give him, I really want to give him full credit. This fight's always going to have a little bit of an asterisk because of the short notice angle of it, right, and everything. But the way he put Volk away, it wasn't that is an approach that probably would have worked even if Volk had a full training camp. Like, we didn't have enough time in this fight to find out how much that short window of training really affected Volk, or I should say lack of training. Because we wouldn't have really seen that in maybe like, okay, he didn't come out with much of a game plan, or didn't make adjustments compared to the previous fight, or he started to fade late into the fight. Like, that may have ended up happening, but we will never know now. Whereas right, Islam coming out, throwing a ton of leg kicks early on, and kind of like mixing up his targets, going to the body, going to the leg, and getting Volk to drop that guard. Like, this was, I think it would have been a viable game plan even with a fully prepared Volk, and it makes me want to give Islam like full credit. I mean, in my eyes, is he the number one pound for pound fighter in the sport in your eyes right now?
Yeah, I mean, you beat who I thought was pound for pound. I was one of those schmucks that thought Volk was pound for pound best in the world. You beat him twice, and the second time just like ending the homie's whole shit. Like, thanks for coming out, dude. Like, take that cash and get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And then you beat Charles the way you beat Charles. So it's pretty much. And the Bobby Green fight, we make fun of it, but it's aged a little bit better than, it could have gone a lot worse for him. If Bobby Green loses to Tony, then like everyone's like, dude, Islam fucking beat the dude that, or barely beat the dude that lost to Tony Ferguson, or you know what I mean? Like, so things are
The
looking up
amount
for.
of the amount of MMA math that you just used as an example there. I'm not saying that like this is your logic, but I mean I know you're saying that as like something that people would be saying,
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
not no. That's why I think he's the pound for pound or what people. But people would have been saying that if you
Yeah.
would. They'll use anything they can, including me on this podcast as a hater ass motherfucker. I just did it myself.
Well, not to like shift or go into like critiquing like fanhood, because this is something I've
Yeah.
mentioned before too. Like Islam got a lot of flack for not having like the most like robust body of work before he got to the title. And I think it's like a shift in what we've come to expect from our contenders versus our champions now in like the modern age of MMA, because we don't have the patience to let a champion like clean out his division anymore. Before they even get a chance to do that, they'll rattle off like one or two title defenses and start talking about, well, I want to fight the next champion a weight up and I want to do that. And I think a lot of people are looking at what he did to get there and saying like, well, where are his like big marquee wins? Like he beat Bobby Green to get a title shot. Well, we could be looking at a potential future. Well, we're already looking now where he beat Oliveira. He beat Volkanovski twice. He's probably going to beat Oliveira again. He's most likely going to fight Justin Gaethje after that. And by the time we're looking at him, 4, 5, 6 title defenses in, I mean, that's a lot of ifs because he still has to win those fights. But his title reign could end up being something that's could surpass what Khabib did.
Ended by Arman Sarukian. I'll finish your sentence there.
But to me, that matters a whole lot more than what he did to get there, because we all know like it's a crapshoot as far as like what do you need to do to get to a title shot, because some guys could get it from 1 or 2 flashy wins if they're charismatic or have enough of a social media following, and other guys need to go through fucking fire and brimstone to never get their title shot. So I think what matters most is once you get that strap, how many times you defend it. That still is the biggest thing to me.
That's a great take.
Yeah, and I hope that I mean, even if Islam does go up and ends up fighting the winner of Leon and Colby, like I'm gonna watch the shit out of that fight, and I think it's still gonna do wonders. It's still gonna do wonders for his legacy. I'll be a little bit sad that the lightweight title will still keep that they're still keeping the lightweight title away from lightweights actually challenging for it. But
that's great.
You can have worse problems.
It's not like middleweight or whatever. It's actually like there's actually good fighters there, like up and down the top 18, 19.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not being a hot potato like at light heavyweight either. But that's going to get fun pretty soon too. All right. So who? Oh, we haven't talked about Volkanovski. We kind of touched on it briefly, but he still intends to fight in January against Ilia Topuria, and
that's badass.
It's very, very fucking. It's very cool. Ill-advised. I go before the fight with Islam, I was the first person in line saying like, yo, that's incredibly gangster that he intends to fight both. He has 2 title fights booked. Then after we saw him get bopped in the head by Islam, which the shot I'm talking about, because there was like 3 hammer fist straight to the top of the head. It was very, very surreal to watch. Now, after seeing how it all went down, now I'm saying like everyone else, hey, let's do that fight in March or April. Like, take your time, guy.
I think we will, because he has to have medical like some type. But I mean, it did happen in the UAE. So did it really even happen? You know what I mean? You ask and girls that get trafficked over there, like what happens over there, no one ever finds out or cares about after that, and then you just have a bunch of money and you feel gross. So.
let's ask the athletic commission that was overseeing everything over there in Abu Dhabi, aka the UFC itself,
Yeah.
and let's see what they decide or what kind of
And it
medical
was so
suspension they
funny.
hand down.
I'm so glad you bring that point up because like Dana was talking shit about that doctor. And it's like, hey guy, uh, you hired, dude. You're the fucking hired the guy.
Yeah,
That-
this whole show is put on by the UFC inside and
yeah,
out. Like you can't go blame the commission for this one, guy.
yeah. Like the fucking like this circus. Like you're at the circus, and then the lion tamer lets the lion eat one of the, and then like the lion tamer's fucking stupid, dude. That guy was, my, you know what? He'll never work here again. It's like, well, what the hell? You hired him, dude.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get more into the officiating for this card because it was wild. But yeah, I was always under the impression that if you get knocked out, it's a minimum 3-month medical suspension. So
Yeah. And they
I
always say you should take 6 to 8, like Izzy's doing right now. Like you should take like 6 to 8 months off. If you get like gashed up, kicked shin to dome,
yeah.
like time away from someone. And like it's not like you got gashed up at like a TJ Maxx parking lot. Like you got fucking kicked in the head by like this dude that rides horses. Like fucking Islam is wild, dude. Like, you got by that dude, and you're gonna try and like make it to January. Like, get the fuck out of here! You're insane.
Yeah, yeah, especially when you're on the receiving end of it, an Islam head kick.
Yeah,
That's a guy who will kill something and crawl inside of its body for warmth,
yeah,
for
dude.
sure. Yeah, yeah. Even if the dates line up perfectly to where he technically can still take that 3-month medical leave or whatever before the Ilia Topuria fight,
Yeah,
that doesn't leave any room for actually training in between that time, which we know he will have to be. He'll probably get right back to training, and you mentioned it, and I do want to move on to the co-main, but I can't. I didn't kind of take up what you were laying down about Volkanovski's comments in the post-fight scrum. Kind of sounding like he's going to go into a dark place, and it sounded like he started to break up a little bit, and like was fighting back tears, which I was
yeah,
driving home listening to that, thinking like, whoa, where is this? This is coming from? Like he's always seemed
yeah,
like a very chipper guy. He had his Cooking with Volk show on YouTube and stuff.
yeah,
So to hear that he is like chronically, like he has to be training, or he kind of like loses his identity or self-worth or something like that. Like it's something, it's
yeah.
concerning. Huh?
He's like Richard Simmons of the MMA world. He's like, dude, he seems so happy all the time. And he just like disappears.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. Hopefully he's okay. Because when you get crazy, what's crazy is I've had concussions, like multiple concussions in my life, and you get like it doesn't matter if they happen. Like I got one in a football game, right? And we won. It was a great game, but I had a concussion. You would think you'd be like hella fucking happy, dude. You're fucking sad. That shit makes you sad, like because the chemicals in your brain are all rattled like a shaker can, and they're like trying to go back through the right pathways in your head, and they just don't want to work the right way. So like
Mm-hmm.
you're like rewired. So like you just get sad as fuck. Sometimes you can get really manic. You start to get manic where you're like super happy and then you're super sad, and you get like real like foggy. You don't remember things. You
Mm-hmm.
get really scared in certain situations where you have no reason to be scared. You get
Mm-hmm.
anxiety. But the overall arching thing for me, which I've had like 3 really bad ones, is where you just get super super sad and
Mm-hmm.
depressed for no reason.
Man,
Like you don't know why.
that sounds harrowing.
Insane, dude. It's
Yeah.
awesome though to like think of,
It's awesome.
like have that context of like, dude, that damn. Because like when I saw him talking, when I
Mhm.
saw him speaking on the mic, I remember like I've seen people like that. Oh dang, that guy's concussed. Like they should not. He should be like not under bright lights right now for sure.
Yes, because like what you were describing, and all you had to deal with when you were, suffering from that concussion was the bus ride home with your teammates. You know what I mean? You're not put in front of a spotlight, in front of a camera on a video that's going to be, shared, millions of views on YouTube. Well,
Yeah,
I don't know
all
if
over
post-fight scrums get those kind of numbers, but in general, just being in that arena and addressing the crowd, I do hope that they walk back their whole policy about interviewing knocked out fighters.
Yeah, they really should, because
Somebody should talk to that athletic commission over there in Abu Dhabi.
so it's gonna come out that like that's bad to do, and Dana's like, I don't know who let that guy do it, but he's gone. It's like, but yeah,
It's gonna be that Spider-Man meme where they're all pointing at each other.
but also like I bet Volk felt great and he was like happy, but then it's just weird, and I know everybody's different, but it's a weird go of it, especially for like 2 to 3 weeks. It's a weird go, and you keep going after that.
Mm-hmm.
You just keep like, God, and then you get real mad. You just get super mad out of nowhere. Yeah, it's weird.
Gnarly. All right. Well, I don't know if I have any other questions to pitch to you revolving the Volk and Islam fight or the results. No, I do. One last one. If the fight in January still happens between Volk and Topuria, who are you picking? Early prediction. And you're welcome to change it, but who are you leaning towards right now?
I'm going to pick Ilia Topuria by second round stoppage to strikes. If it happens, if it happens in January, it's going to be second round stoppage to picks. And Volk is going to be like tugging at the tape on his fucking gloves, and you're going to be like, why is he doing that?
Don't say though. No, don't say.
He's not. But like, judging by the comments he made in his post fight, he's definitely going to have more of a Tony Ferguson finish than a GSP finish. In my honest
yeah. Some people are making comments about that. If you're to be coming out and saying like, I need to be training, otherwise, it kind of smells like someone who's not going to know when to hang them up. Which
that was my first thought. I was like, oh no, like maybe because I am a very big fan of this guy. Like I hold this guy in very high esteem. He's super like uplifting. He like you said, his cooking with Volk or in his interviews or with his family, he's like someone you to admire for all that he's done, and how hard he works. And it's true, you just work your fucking ass off and you can be good. I mean, you have to be super talented, but if you work hard and do the right things, you can do great. And you can tell that he's someone that embodies that. And it's super sad to be like, oh no, man.
Now, just to clarify, his cooking with Volk content and some of that, it's not necessarily over with me, but it's wholesome. No. If I found out that my kid was was being watched over by Alexander Volkanovski, I wouldn't be worried. Let's put it that way. My kid that doesn't exist, but yeah. Kind of he's a little cornballish, but I think he wasn't over with people for a while. I think people really started to come around to him after he first got booked to fight Islam Makhachev.
Yeah. So you're saying the two guys on this podcast that watch like cartel beheading videos, fucking crazy ass like accidents for fun, don't like his brand of content? We're like, come on, dude. Bro,
you're projecting a lot. I don't watch cartel beheading videos anymore.
Wild. Dude. Okay, I haven't seen it. Well, it's been like 4 months since I seen them. Like, but it's the news cycle's different now.
I was about to ask, do you get the sense that these are new videos? Is this an ongoing thing, or are these like gems that were undiscovered from like the early 2000s?
I think
I just described any of them as gems. My God,
not really 2000s because the cameras are really good. Because these narco ones on like the newest iPhones, so
narco ones. I was thinking that of like ISIS and Al Qaeda and shit.
Oh no, cartel. I said cartel.
Yeah, you did say cartel. My bad. Yeah,
because And there was like Cartel Wars, the most recent ones.
Uh-huh.
Some good on those too.
Takes
Those are
all
really.
kinds.
All right, this is tangent material, dude.
All right, let's move on to this co-main event. I think we just about covered everything we could for the main. Khamzat Chimaev, Kamaru Usman. This fight goes the distance. Kamaru Usman coming in on about as short notice as Islam Makhachev. I think he had like one less day to prepare, because I think it was like the next day where they officially said, oh, Paulo Costa's out of this fight also. And they wasted no time getting Kamaru Usman in there. I think by the time we knew that Paulo was officially out, the same day we knew that Kamaru Usman was filling in. I said it before. I thought this fight was an upgrade. I'm not over on Paulo Costa. Well, let's not make this about Paulo Costa. Kamaru Usman comes in, has a very rough first round. I think it was a clear 10-8. I'm not sure if you would agree with that. And then he kind of rallies a little bit and has two very close rounds with Chimaev. And it almost kind of starts to look like Chimaev is like a force of nature that you have to survive for the first round, and then he becomes much more human. But I do have to remind myself, this is also Kamaru Usman we're talking about, who was at one point considered, the GOAT welterweight, or, approaching GOAT status in that, in that division.
Yeah, that I don't. Do you believe the broken hand? I kind of don't. I'm leaning towards like maybe a bad sprain.
For
I don't know.
Khamzat, because he claimed that he broke his hand in the first round, right?
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
think
I
got
have no
gas.
reason not to believe it, I guess,
Yeah.
But
Um.
Khamzat Chimaev, just all the circumstances around him, though, and I think he's capable of being an absolute marauder, and he showed us that in the first round for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
I think I guess I'm kind of with you. I don't know if I necessarily fully buy into the fact that he obliterated his hand, maybe. I think Kamaru Usman's striking isn't anything beautiful, but is underrated. And I think Khamzat's is probably overrated. He has a lot of power. Everybody saw him put fucking was it I was gonna call him GB3. Gerald Mearshart, GM3.
Yeah.
Everyone saw him put his lights out, and I think we all come to thought, not all of us, but a lot of people started to assume that Khamzat was like the full package, where I think his striking still has to come a long way. And I
I
think
think
Kamaru Usman showed that, like he's human.
well
That was
for
the
a
end of my
fight
thought.
for a fighter like for a fighter like Hamzat, who is still pretty. I don't know if the word green is the right word,
Let's
but
see.
what's wrong with you?
No. Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say, well, I'm gonna check and see how old he is and see if we can still call him green. He's 29 years old.
He, I don't know if green's the right word, but what Camaro has is reaction and time on task. Like time on task is like 10 hours, 10,000 hours to become a genius type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Hamzat's trained and done everything, but like Kamaru's been like in the UFC lights, 5 round fights, like Abu Dhabi, wherever, it doesn't matter. Like the situation, you can drop him in a pretty crazy situation,
Mm-hmm.
and Kamaru had time under those circumstances, and he can react where he's pretty close to being able to fill his way out, and is super good in the cage as far as just knowing where he's at and being able to like just I don't know what the word I'm looking for. I guess comes down to just reaction time in under those circumstances with a crazy guy trying to kill you in the cage. It's
Yeah.
not something that freaks people out. So, or that it freaks most people out. Where Kamaru just does that every day.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
he was in a bad position with Hamzat in that first round, and he never looked like he was flustered and like, oh shit. Like a lot of other guys would have completely melted and wouldn't have made it out of
yeah,
that first round. And
absolutely.
yeah, and for Kamaru, he like a veteran. He held on, and he kind of knew that I just need to survive this and adjust, and
Yeah,
and
he he for all like for he has a very good claim of pretty much winning the next 2 rounds. I mean, if you consider what he had to come back from in round 2 to where he ended in round 3. For me, it doesn't, and this is totally stupid, but in my book, you get points from like almost dying in the first round to like basically fucking, you know,
for how much he turned it around. Yeah, like you have to kind of like grade it on a curve or something.
Right.
I actually I scored it a draw. Having gone back and watched Weasel's breakdown, where he kind of goes through and breaks down rounds 2 and 3 because they were incredibly close. I think I do kind of now agree that that Khamzat also could have won this. I think it was the third round.
Sure.
Really, really close. I think a draw would have been a fine decision. No one likes a draw, but
he gives like he's very biased in who he gives heavy strike grading because his grading system is very biased because it's his own grading system. So what he compares heavy strikes to mid to light is all based on what he thinks, you know?
Yeah.
So he can totally make those videos because then you're looking at a scoreboard where there is no MMA scoreboard. So and it's like a whole different way of like tracking a fight because you're looking at numbers and you're like, oh, well, those numbers must mean something. Well, they mean something to the guy who's making the video. So he's literally making you think what he's thinking.
Yeah.
And he's using the numbers to like manipulate you into thinking that. So he's getting a little weird with that shit. He needs to chill. Weasel, if you're watching, like you need to kick back. He's also Indian. Those dudes are muzzies. Like you have to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do. Really, what I watch them for is to see shot for shot, like strike for strike. And sometimes I don't agree with whether he labels something a medium or a heavy strike. What was that?
Oh, sorry. I was just talking shit. I shouldn't cut you off, though. That's rude.
Okay. Yeah, so sometimes I'll watch it and I'll just be like, okay, this is a good way for me to kind of just look at the fight again, not frame for frame, but, you know, the frames that he picks. And if I don't agree that something was a heavy strike versus a medium strike, because I do kind of feel like there's a little bit of bias there sometimes too.
Yeah.
I didn't agree with how he judged. I think it was, what was the round? In Grasso versus Shevchenko 2, that one, that round where like she hit her with all those knees where everyone thought they were illegal at first.
Yeah.
He looked at all those knees and we're like, yeah, these are light to medium shots. And I'm like, those are knees to the head. Like,
exactly.
Even if they weren't like direct.
Someone can't move. Yeah. Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. That's a really good point. I've never really thought about it that way. Or I didn't. When you put it that way, it's like, yeah, dude, this guy, it's just based on his own criteria. So it's like his criteria means less than anyone else's. So. But I mean, I definitely thought Khamzat won the fight, but I just even more respect for Usman. Big time respect.
Yeah, I think the acceptable outcomes were Khamzat winning or a draw, but I don't know if I could say that Usman winning would have been good in my book. So yeah, that's about the spread that I can go with. Usman is now down. He's 0-3 in his last 3 fights. Hasn't won a fight since 2021 against Colby Covington. So a lot of red in his ledger, and I don't really quite know where I want to see him now. I was going into this fight, you know, win or lose, I was kind of thinking like, okay, if Kamaru Usman sticks around in the middleweight division, this could get interesting. I think that there's, you know, there's been a whole lot of like additions to the middleweight division. You know, we have Ikram Aliskerov, Shara Bullet. We're going to talk about. You know, you know, Bull Nichols is still out there, like being the potential dark horse.
Would be pretty sick.
Yes, I would be. There's a lot of good fun matchups for Usman if he wants to stay at middleweight. But I think that the money potentially is still there for him back at at welterweight if he wants to stick around, depending on if Colby Covington beats Leon Edwards or how things play out there. So I'm undecided. I guess I'm just kind of down for whatever move Usman wants to make. If he wants to stay at middleweight, I'm cool with that. If he wants to go back to welterweight, we'll see where that goes. I don't know if you have a take on that.
I don't. I think I would like to see him stay at middleweight, but I really don't. I really don't care either way. But seeing him fight Bo Nickel would be sick. That'd be fun. When you said that, that'd be sick as fuck. But they're gonna try and get Bo Nickel over on him.
Oh yeah, that's a step. I mean, it feels fucking ridiculous to call Usman a stepping stone, but as far as what the UFC sees or what they'd be trying to set up, absolutely. But since Khamzat was the guy who got his hand raised in this one, I know before this fight, Dana was declaring this for the number one contendership. He was saying whoever won this fight was going to get the title shot. I was crying foul because that fucks over our boy DDP. And now that we saw how it went down, do you think, and he kind of walked it back a little bit in the post-fight scrum, like people, the media asked him and he said, well, we're going to see how it goes. You know, he was very vague about it. So I think the biggest winner from this is potentially DDP, because now he might be back in the mix of a guy who's probably up next to fight Sean Strickland. They may still say fuck it and put Khamzat Chimaev in there anyways, but he has not earned it over DDP. I think the DDP fight sells.
Dude, we need just like, I don't know, he knocked the fuck out of Whitaker, and like everyone thought this was like Whitaker's like redemption arc, like he was gonna fucking come back and like just end everybody's fucking reign and like live long and prosper in that division, and he got fucking smoked. Like no one is even talking about Robert Whitaker. Like no one even says a word about him.
Yeah, we just talked about how like the middleweight landscape has changed so much, and there's all these exciting additions, and we weren't even talking about Ikram Aliskerov or Usman fighting Whitaker or none of that shit. Like, but he's still there. He's the Max Holloway of the middleweight division still. He's still going to be a factor unless like he's like mentally kind of checking out to where, oh, I lost Brandon. Pause. All right, unpause. Welcome back.
Sorry, so, dude. I freaking didn't know that I could do that on this phone. Sorry.
Oh, you're on your phone?
Yeah, I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay,
sorry,
cool.
Freaking, it like if I moved it across the table, and then if it like the screen faces down, it like turns off. So I apologize.
Oh, gotcha. I was so unprofessional about that.
Yeah,
you were only out for like 4 seconds.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, I lost Brandon, and I stopped talking. I literally should have just kept talking.
Yeah,
would have been fine. But
my bad.
So yeah, I was just saying, like to agree with your point that like Robert Whitaker is still there. He's not. I don't think he's fallen off just yet. I think he's still going to be a factor in this middleweight division, and middleweight over the next year or two could be a pretty buff fucking division, man.
It came around full circle as much as you hated it.
Yeah. I lost Brandon again. Yeah, I did hate the middleweight division for a while. And I still can't say that I don't hate the middleweight division, but I do see a brighter future for it, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so let's get into the wackiness that was Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. How about you kind of like tell the story of this fight and let the people know like what we saw on Saturday?
To me, and it was funny, Mike's comment about it being like this guy's just that fighter that like, oh, I can't remember how he worded it, but do you remember exactly how he worded it? But it was such a good point. It was just this guy just can't get a serious fucking victory. He pulls defeat from the jaws of victory, dude.
Oh, Ankalaev.
Yeah, Ankalaev. He just can't. He just like drops wins that are so therefore. Cause he looked good.
He did.
I think Johnny Walker was gonna get him though. I think Johnny Walker could have looked bad and been taking shots, and because in just one of those jumping knees or some crazy ass elbow could have turned shit all the way because that shit was there.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of what could have been gamesmanship or Johnny Walker playing possum because he ate a really nice body shot and he kind of like keeled over a little bit and we were like, whoa, is he gonna get but it looked like he recovered really quick. So
Nate Rock Quarry, who did that, where he faked the liver shot like it hurt him, and then he fucking knocked the dude out.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Nate Quarry, but I know exactly what fight you're talking about.
Right? Mm-hmm. Same white guy with the spiked hair.
It was the dude with the big old fucking dome. Oh man, Scott Smith? No, Scott Smith was the one that got knocked out in that knockout. Is it Pete Sell and Scott Smith?
Oh, Pete, damn, cigarette rat, dude. Cigarette rat, bro.
But anyways, it looked like we were about to get a good light heavyweight fight. Both of these boys were coming out and going for it. Ankalaev looked like he was getting the better of the fight. I just started breaking down the fight when I told you to do it. And then we get the wackiness. He gets Johnny Walker down on a knee against the fence and blast him with a knee to the head, which was illegal, which was like rightfully illegal. He had one knee down. They call a halt to the action. Apparently the doctor comes in and starts to assess Johnny Walker and asks him, I don't know if he actually asked him what country they were in or just where are we? And Johnny Walker, according to Johnny Walker, said, we're in the desert. And that was enough for the doctor to decide, oh, this man is concussed or he can't continue. And he called the fight off, much to everybody's outrage, because he also had a really ridiculous call a little earlier in the card with Victor Henry. But I said this in our group chat, and if you would have asked me, even if I wasn't just right in the middle of a fight and even if I knew the language perfectly, if you would have asked me, hey, what country are we in right now while we're in Abu Dhabi, I would not have been confident in my answer. I probably would have said, like, I think I would have said the UAE, but I'm not even sure if that's a country or if that's or what,
Yeah, no, it's like the UAE is like a federation of different countries under the Arabic, almost like what's the European Union, where it's like,
I don't have that shit down either. I don't know what's England or what's or what's Britain or London.
Bro, could you find Abu Dhabi on a map?
No, I'm gonna go ahead and say no.
Yeah,
I was a fucking ace at geography bee when I was a kid. I was in that shit. Yeah. But no, not now, man. I don't know. I'm totally Kimbo Slice cutting a promo about Japan when he was fighting over there. When he said, I love the city of Japan. It's a lot of buildings. I'm not that bad, but I always R.I.P. Kimbo Slice. You were a gem.
Yeah. Man, the one thing that it just sucked because that was going to be a good fight. I think that was going to be, and it's easy to say now that it ended the way it did, but it was going to be, I don't know if the fight of the night or the best fight in that division in a while or anything like that, but it was going to be better than what the card had up until that point, for sure.
I agree. Do you agree that I was right that the aggressiveness of Johnny Walker was bringing out the aggressiveness of Ankalaev? Yeah. Like, did you see that? Was that playing out to you?
Yes. Good. That was a great call. And I remember vividly, I remember thinking about that. Like, wow, he was right. Because Ankalaev gets lulled to sleep, dude.
Yeah.
So, and he fights down to his competition. Mm-hmm. There's a few guys that do that, or he just won't engage if the style matchup is different. But he has all of the tools to do anything he wants to anyone in that cage. It's just, it sucks that some guys have to get it brought out of him, and Johnny Walker is bringing it out of him for sure.
good. Yeah, really great point. He's a guy who just needs the right dance partner. Otherwise, you're not going to get that time in, time out. How fucking weird is it to think that like Ankalaev might quietly be the best light heavyweight in that division right now, and we probably will never know it for sure or for certain. I mean, I shouldn't say never, but yeah, man, like he's kind of been like right there, but promotionally,
it's just what's crazy about athletics and sports in general is like a lot of the best athletes in their sport aren't always recognized as the best. And it's either a mental thing, it's an opportunity thing, it's an injury thing. And with him, it just seems
it's
all
a
mental.
Beard with no mustache thing in his case.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you there. But for him,
that was funny.
What were you going to say, actually? For him, it's
mental. It has to be mental with him. It's a mental, and it's like if you could put Volk's mind in Ankalaev, like you'd have to bring Godzilla to kill that guy, dude. You know what I'm saying? If you put Volk's mentality into Magomed Ankalaev, you would you would have pulled Johnny Walker's arms off.
That would have been something fierce. That would have been a modern day Mortal Kombat fatality for sure.
Right.
Yeah, man. Shame that we didn't get this one. I do think that they probably run it back though, because it looked like it was going to be an exciting fight, and I think Dana even said as much that they'll probably have to rebook this one.
I would like to see that without a Muslim sympathizing doctor, because do you know where they don't like Muslims? China. So like make him fight in China, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like that's if one of these Dagestani bros can go to China and win with that's like straight away game, dude. That's like hostile ass away game for those dudes. So if you can go over there and win, and Johnny Walker don't care. Johnny Walker is a citizen of the world. Like he's from everywhere in the world, dude. Like they'll love him in China, they love him anywhere. But Ankalaev, I'm sure, isn't going to get a sympathetic doctor in China, dude.
You know where I think that they would really enjoy seeing Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker? Over at the Tachi Palace. Yes,
Tachi
exactly.
Palace, boys.
You know it.
Fight night, dude.
Oh, that's a fight night headliner all day, dude. Hell yeah.
Oh, man. Shirts, dude. We have to make shirts to go, dude. I'll go. Okay, dude, check this out. If I'm still, it doesn't matter, but hopefully it'd be more comical if I'm still at the girth and size that I am now. If it's at Tachi, dude, I will go and draw all over my stomach and watch the fight. Fucking Bert Kreischer, dude. All fucking titties out for the boys, dude. If they bring that out,
I wouldn't make you do that. It would be hilarious, and I'm really glad that you would be down. But I mean,
I'd be down for other things, and I don't do it though. So.
No. I think a lot of that is actually on me, because I think some of it is stuff that I pitched, like doing that scene at the golf course as a Swede from The Sopranos. That was on me.
Oh yeah.
That never happened, but that was on me for not happening for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's all going to come down to what you would be down to paint on yourself. Would it be like a Fight Plug logo? Like we talking just pushing the brand, or?
No, because I told you how Johnny Walker was a exotic dancer at one time, and he's done intros where he's doing his exotic dancer dance. I would dress up as Chris Farley in that Saturday Night Live sketch as a Chippendales dancer with the cuffs and the black pants, and I would dress like a Chippendales dancer like Chris Farley and do when Johnny Walker enters, dance like that all wild. That's what I would do. That'll
make him definitely keep coming back to the Tachi Palace.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That would be sick. Well, I hope that it's it's during the right time of the season for it. When's the last time you've been to the Tachi Palace, by the way?
Dude, so long. I used to go. I used to play poker there a lot, but it's been a long time.
I haven't been since all of the renovations and the redesigns and stuff. So I hear
speaking of Chris Farley, this is way off topic.
Run.
Yeah, we should. But way off topic, but it is speaking of Chris Farley. I was playing poker at Tachi Palace, and this guy who looked Native American was playing poker, and he was wearing like weird clothes, and he like I kept winning and talking shit, and then he's like, "Are you related to Chris Farley?" The way they talk, you know. And then I go,
just always kind of breathy.
Yeah, yeah. Are you related to Chris Farley? And then like making fun of me for being chubby, right? And then I go, I don't know. Did you just dig up the crocodile hunter and put on his fucking outfit, dude? Like, what the fuck? And then everybody looked at me, and my friend's like, dude, what if he owns this place, or like his family owns this place? So like, I just bought out and left. Fucking piece of shit. If I see you again.
All right, let's keep on going down this card. Let me just hit back. Let's see. So yeah, Ankalaev, Johnny Walker ends in a no contest due to an illegal knee. Ikram Alaskaram gets Warley Alves out of there. Everyone should have expected this. This is definitely an example of one of those fights that was only going to go one way. This was them kind of like showing that Ikram Alaskaram has arrived. And another guy, by the way, who was booked to fight Paulo Costa, not specifically on this card, but was just booked to fight him in general. That fight is actually looking like that makes a lot of sense now, since Paulo Costa couldn't go with our boy Hamzat Chimaev. I think when he wants to get back in there again, call it a little bit of punishment, but I think Ikram Alaskara versus Paulo Costa makes a whole lot of sense now. Where a lot of the biggest Paulo Costa defenders at the time, when they were first booked to fight, were like, this is dumb. Why should you fight this guy who has no pull or no push in the UFC yet? But Ikram has arrived.
Yeah, he looked great. And just from that's eye test, eye level shit, dude. Just he didn't have to. He could have did that on the pads, and you'd be like, "Yep, boy's ready." Like let's see how he does. You know, he looked fucking great, and it's gonna be awesome to see how what path he takes. Like if he even, because there's been so many guys like this that we've all been like, man, this guy's gonna be great, and there's a lot of guys like that in the sport in general right now, where they're just like, wow, these guys look like they could be phenomenal, and fucking shit takes a left turn. So we'll have to see, but he's definitely has a track record of being able to make it happen. So
yep. Said Nurmagomedov gets a guillotine choke submission at 73 seconds into the first round against Muin Gafurov. Another one that was a little bit of a squash match, but that was an impressive guillotine choke. He was get the just the neck guillotine, where he gets locks up like the triangle fucking figure four, like not an arm in guillotine, I should say. Boy, I'm fucking hella rusty on my BJJ terminology. Yeah, doesn't tell us a whole lot more about Said Nurmagomedov that we didn't already know. Dude's incredible.
We can do that.
Yeah. we absolutely knew he can do that. Dude's a rising star at bantamweight. Oh,
Said is a star
in that part of the world. How long did you call him Said? Because I called him Said a few times until I heard someone say his name was Said.
I had a friend named Said. In Selma, but that is a cool name. I always liked that name.
Yeah, it's a sick name. Mohamed Mokaev gets the arm triangle choke against Tim Elliott. Let's go a little bit further down. Let's go straight to the other fuckery of the card. Javid Basharat versus Victor Henry. This one I actually didn't watch. I was driving to Fresno at the time, so I know everything that happened. But I remember being on my way, and I kind of just put the fights on my phone so I could listen to them on the way there. And this fight had already wrapped up, and I was thinking, like, man, I wonder what the result of the Basharat Henry fight was. And I was gonna actually just Google it real quick to check and see who won. And then they announced it like during the card, where John Anik, was it John Anik that was calling? Well, anyways, whoever it was, he said, just an update, Victor Henry is vomiting backstage right now. And I was like, okay, that kind of gives me a clue as to who won the fight. But yeah, apparently Javid Basharat hits him with a knee. Oh, I don't know what the strike was. I'm assuming it was a kick or a knee.
It was shin, like lower shin to nutsack.
Straight to the nuts. Victor Henry is just all over the place and just convulsing and just in all the pain. And apparently the same doctor that stopped the Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker fight, was telling him that he was faking it. Was literally declaring that it wasn't that bad, that it wasn't a shot to the groin. Let's fucking finish up this act and let's get this fight going. Victor Henry couldn't continue. He needed to go get I think they said what was it, testicular MRI. Josh Barnett was updating everybody via Twitter, his coach. Dude, just bad all around. And you were all in on Henry on this fight too. You were
absolutely
singing his praises.
Yeah, he's a good fighter. It was one of the weirder things about the whole thing was that you can just watch, like, if you're a doctor, just listen to what someone's saying, and there's a clear-cut set of rules for what happens when this happens to a fighter. The doctor has no say over whether or not those rules are given. He has to, like, work with an intermediary, which is the referee. So if the referee is looking at the replay, or the referee sees it and says, hey, that didn't look good to me, then the doctor can do it. But don't just, like, walk in, because the doctor was not watching that fight closely, I guarantee you. Just knowing how he was before, he doesn't strike me as the type of dude who is, like, on the edge of his seat watching that whole thing. So go through the ref, confer with the ref. What did you see? Did he get kicked in the testicles? Did he not? Hey, there's a fucking huge screen to the left of us. Let's watch it at the same time and see what it was. Not just go to the guy writhing in pain. No, you didn't.
Yeah. And
stop lying.
Whether the doctor saw it or not, like, it's not even the doctor's call to determine whether or not the strike actually hit him in the groin or, like, where he's claiming it is. Like, bro, like, you're the doctor. You're only supposed to assess whether a person is good or not. Like, are they injured? Can they continue fighting? Like you said, it's the ref's call, and the ref's call only, as to whether or not it was an actual groin strike. But also, hey, have you ever seen anybody get hit in the balls? Do you know what that looks like? Do you know what acting is like? I don't know how anybody, because I went back and I've watched the funny enough, I haven't actually seen the strike that caused it, but I watched Victor Henry's reaction, and it is unmistakable that this man was hitting the balls very fucking hard, dude. Like, because
it was just like, okay, I'm fine. Oh, what the fuck? Like, it was like a delayed reaction. There's always that slight delayed reaction. It's the same way of falling over, the same, like, doubling over in pain. Oh man, I just feel so bad. Like, no one should ever have to deal with that shit. I mean, I get it. You're a cage fighter. That could happen, but you shouldn't have to deal with shit like that from a doctor. What the fuck?
And where's the logic from the doctor too? Like, really, guy, like, you're gonna assume that Victor Henry flew all the way to fucking fight in Abu Dhabi just to put on the acting performance of his career and pretend that, like, he can't continue from a groin shot? Why would he think that Victor Henry wanted this? I mean, it's so ridiculous, man.
But I don't know that he was going for with that performance or whatever he thought it was.
Makes no sense. And I mean, I guess it's not the doctor's job to go through all those logical steps to come to the conclusion there either. But I mean, when you don't have working eyes, apparently, you gotta resort to something else. But that was a tough one, man. So that doctor was getting the most heat from everybody after this card wrapped up. A few more things that I wanted to touch on. Mike Breeden getting the come from behind win over Anshul Jubli, who I think Anshul Jubli, I think they were saying he was the first Indian fighter, but that can't be right. I know there's been at least one Indian fighter in the UFC already. But either way, there hasn't been many. And Anshul Jubli looked great in the first 2 rounds, and that fight was his fight to lose at that point. Like, he was up 2, and Mike Breeden, who missed weight and who had apparently been fighting with Staff, who he's one of 2 fighters on this card who
Dana said, don't mention that shit. What did Dana say about people with Staff?
It's like, if you're gonna lie all the way home. Well, what the fuck are you doing? Like sneaking onto the card, hiding the fact that you have staph, and then going and announcing it to the entire world. And listen,
you can kind of, I hate to agree with the guy, but
exactly. I'm not the last person that's usually going to agree with Dana, but he's absolutely right here. What the fuck? Anyways, we'll get to that, especially with Victoria Dudikova. But Mike Breeden down to fucking suffering from staph infection. Couldn't make weight because of it. And he comes out in round 3 and just starts barking at Anshul Jubli and taunting him and talking all the shit in the world. And Anshul Jubli just falls apart and ends up getting finished in the 3rd round. Goes down from a right hook knockout. And yeah, man, I think I've never seen. I think Mike mentioned one other come from behind win that was kind of comparable to it, but this was like the biggest case of like, oh, we just found out Anshul Jubli like ain't made for this mentally, because like, how are you up to, and that of all approaches manages to work on you? Like, I don't know, that's I don't know anything about him personality wise, but I mean, if there's any other sign of mental weakness, then that has to be it. Like, you can't fall apart because your opponent starts barking at you, dude.
Yeah, dude. What the fuck? That shit was just. This card was mid as fuck.
The prelims were rough, man. The prelims were really rough, and there was these moments that were like very peculiar, but at the end of the day, as fun as it was, it's also a sign of like, well, what the fuck then? Does Anshul Jubli not actually good then? Like, I mean, and like Breeden was getting his ass kicked for 2 rounds, certainly barking at his opponent's not going to work for every fight he's in, you know.
Yeah, and we know less than what we knew going into it, and the fights actually happened, and that goes for the winners. I mean, because some of those. The matchups were so wonk and they're so one-sided, like you said. The dudes that won, it's like, really doesn't prove too much. And then the shit that happened in fucking controversy, it's like killed what we could have known. So yeah, we basically come out knowing less than what we thought we knew coming in.
Yeah. Victoria Dudikova, the other fighter who hid her staph infection and fought with it, who must have been a lot easier to hide, because she revealed in her post-fight scrum that she was sitting there in the same chair that every other fighter has to fucking sit in to do their post-fight scrum, and announced to the world that her ass was literally bleeding in that moment because an abscess that she had like in her ass crack ruptured like during the fight, and she was just leaking fucking staph fluids in her fucking shorts all over the chair. Like, I don't get that, man. Like, that is just incredibly disgusting and unprofessional, and yeah, like I can't agree more with Dana. Like, yo, you managed to slip by with it. You actually won your fight, you know. I think she won. She also missed weight, I believe, so she had some of her pay docked, but she ended up winning, so it's like, who cares, you know. But yeah, then to announce it to the world, I don't know. A lot of people have been talking a lot more in the know people than me that are closer to the industry have been talking about how unprofessional it is. Do you think that this is a cutting offense? Like, do you think that they should consider getting rid of her for this? Because we've seen other fighters get into the cage with staph, but they couldn't necessarily hide it, and that's kind of on the athletic commissions or the UFC for not catching it before the fight goes down. I'm looking at Kevin Lee versus Tony Ferguson, where I think Kevin Lee had very noticeable staph on his pec, like on his chest, and that's like, okay, if they didn't catch that, then I mean, more power to Kevin Lee, I guess. But this is gross, man. I was going back to the image of that meme I shared of Victor Henry, like just in agony with his face down in the mat, thinking about all the fucking staph that's all over the place, man.
Oh no, I don't think so. I mean, I doubt that it would. It did, but it does put a lot of people in harm's way, especially that early in the card too. To like just, and who knows if they were cleaning that shit. God damn.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I don't want to spend too much time on it, because I just realized we are over an hour in already, and we haven't even talked about the news about the John Jones versus Stipe fight falling through. But I'll let you go and kind of lead us into that one.
So it was kind of, to me, it looked a little suspicious how perfect they had that documented when he hurt his pec.
It was on camera and everything at the exact moment. I thought that was a little weird too. Like, for a guy who doesn't really show us much, if any, of his training footage, like that was just there, huh?
Yeah, that was awkward as fuck. And it was like, dang, you had it right then, and it didn't look like they were doing anything. And like, who tapes that? Like part of their training. I can see dudes taping like maybe different techniques they're trying to learn to see how they're doing or what's going on, but I've never seen anybody tape that kind of fucking part of their training. I've never seen that, so it makes sense.
And I do remember when he was training with Henry Cejudo for the Cyril Gane fight, there was some footage that they would put out that I thought like, oh, they're actually going to like show him going with Maurice Green, but it was but instead it was actually just the camera was just on Henry Cejudo ringside, giving him direction and stuff, and they wouldn't actually let us see John going in the cage or what his training was looking like. So I totally agree. I'm with you there, that I thought it was kind of convenient that they had the exact moment where he tore his pec ligament or whatever it is. So he's out. They're saying about maybe 8 months to potentially a year, I guess.
Pec as well.
And I think Weasel said that he thinks when he heard that he tore his pec, that sounds more like maybe something from lifting weights potentially, which, I mean, we know John got really into weightlifting and weight training.
Yeah,
and stuff,
he probably did. He probably did it in a stupid way, and they're like, "Okay, take some painkillers, and then like act out that you're doing it in a wrestling move, and then that way it looks like you were like legit training and not doing whatever it was he was doing." But Sergey Pavlovich is going to be the interim champ. He's going to be the lineal champ. He's the champ. He's the champ now. He's going to be the champ forever. This is the Sergey takeover, dude. This is it. This is what I dreamed of. This is how I win. This is history in the making, dude. You see that?
For anyone who's not in the on the up and up with our predictions, Brandon did predict that by the end of 2023, Sergey Pavlovich would be the UFC heavyweight champion. Now, they announced that he'll be fighting Tommy Aspinall. And that would be for the interim heavyweight championship. Now, am I going to let you play fast and loose with your definition of UFC heavyweight champion? Yes, I am. I'm going to let you play fast and loose.
Isn't it kind of creepy? Isn't this creepy as fuck?
No, I don't think it's creepy at all. I mean, creepy is not me thinking that me thinking that you were dying in a hotel room a few minutes ago when you weren't responding. That was creepy.
Did you record it at least?
I was recording some of it, yeah. Because when you started, when it started to sound really weird, I was like, I'm gonna hit record. I need him to hear what I'm hearing later on.
Sorry, dude. I have two. I'll tell you what happened.
No, but we did kind of outline like potential scenarios where your prediction could come true, and it was exactly something like this. Like all it takes is the right injury and the right kind of matchmaking to make up for it, and now we're living in the world where good old Sergey Pav might be holding that strap, whether it's lineal or not. By the end of the year, he will.
You know it, and I know it.
I think Tommy Aspinall is as game as they come, and I think Tommy needs to be as careful as anybody's ever been. Can't go out there like Curtis Blades and thinking that you're going to be the guy to strike with Sergey Pavlovich. No,
there's no way.
Aspinall's hands look good, but he has one clear path to victory in this fight, and that is getting Sergey Pavlovich to the ground. I think it's a great fight. I'm way more into this fight than I was for the John Stipe.
A million times, yes. This is like, I'm almost, and part of me thinking like that's a fake injury is everyone was like, okay, 294 was a dud. It's looking like Stipe's not training very well, or Stipe's not really looking good in training. This doesn't look like it's going to be a good fight at all. And so
Stipe's not selling shit. That's another thing too. Like, I mean, this fight was like, it's about 2 weeks out, right?
Right. Oh, pretty fucking close. Yeah.
Let me pull it up. I have it on my iPad. I'm sorry. Either way, it's like right around the corner. Oh no, I have.
It's the 21st of November, right?
Is it? I thought it was even earlier than that.
No.
It's basically a month. Okay, so it's not the one on the 4th. No, it's the 11th of November.
Whoa, that's so soon.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that in the modern UFC, no one really starts advertising many fights until basically the previous weekend's fights wrapped up, and then they start. Yeah. I mean, there's some fights that transcend that. We've been hype about this Jiri Prochazka versus Alex Pereira fight as soon as they announced this shit. Like that's the one that definitely bucks the trend. But Stipe is not promotionally isn't doing anything. It was all John doing the heavy lifting to push this fight with Stipe, and he was kind of like Sisyphus pushing the stone uphill.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So here we are. To mention Alex Pereira versus Jiri. Now that fight is going to be the main event of the UFC 295 card, and my God, fucking Pavlovich versus Aspinall is just that's a tremendous. That's a tremendous co-main event now. I am a little bit. I mentioned it in our group chat. I am a little bit sad that Stipe didn't somehow stay on the card. Not because I wanted to see Stipe fight specifically. Like, oh shoot, like no, like Stipe has been pretty much retired for almost 3 years now. But in a way, to stick it to to make the UFC stick to their guns, basically. Like, this is the guy that you were bringing in here to fight John Jones for the undisputed championship. Like, if that's the guy who you think that should have been fighting for it, he should have been half of this interim title fight.
Anyone going for the heavyweight championship of the world in the UFC should be fucking able to fight anyone, anytime, anywhere. And even more so with you not having to cut the weight, with it not having to be, not all the health risks of all that. Yeah. And one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, for that matter. Let's see how he looks. Let's see what old John would have missed. And so that's very telling that he's not even, I don't even think he's taken a statement. Has he given a statement on it or anything? It's just like everyone's going to forget about
it. That's the thing. Stipe doesn't say anything. He's just in his own world. Like, as far as I know, he hasn't made any public statements about it. And, I mean, it just doesn't inspire much confidence. And I think it makes me wonder if the UFC has much confidence that Jones does come back from this, because he's already said, like, yo, I don't intend to stick around and fight these new up and coming heavyweights. Like, I'm here. This Stipe fight was the legacy fight because he's the greatest heavyweight of all time. So that's the guy who I want to fight. But by the time he comes back from this, it'll be close to knocking on 4 years since Stipe's put the gloves on. So
there's no way. Yeah,
there's not going to be any hunger for that fight. And then you can't then still go back to the well for John and Stipe. Well, one of these big old boys has the interim strap. Like, that's.
Well, thank God they got it on camera when he got hurt. When he got hurt.
I didn't.
Thank God he got it on camera when he got hurt, so that we can document exactly when and where that happened. So we can't talk shit. It wasn't that Stipe sucked. It wasn't like that no one wanted to see the fight. John got hurt. It's on camera. You guys saw it. So shut up.
Let's go ahead and explore some conspiracy theories, since we're getting close to the end of the episode. Let's go ahead and go off the rails here.
Okay. More so than I just did.
John is upset that the UFC is officially declaring that Islam Makhachev is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And this is him in his fucked up head playing hardball, thinking, oh, you think that? Okay, well, I'm gonna fake this injury and pull out. And he thinks it's a power move, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's not at all.
That could totally be, I can see every aspect of that being true too. But at the same, his brother's going through some weird shit right now. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. John Jones' brother Chandler Jones is like having the weird. I'm not sure if anyone watching this. I'm sure there's somebody watching this or listening to this that knows what's going on. Chandler Jones, John Jones' brother's having like existential crisis and a mental break, and he's like putting it on Instagram Live and documenting it.
Oh
And the
shit.
guy needs like actual help. It's very scary because he's much bigger, stronger, and could probably beat John Jones down.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like loose, and he's a millionaire. He's like crying on Instagram Live, saying that Aaron Hernandez didn't kill himself, that he didn't kill anyone, that it was like
Shit.
an Illuminati sacrifice and stuff.
Oh
And
my
he's like
god.
crying and freaking out. He's like threatening women online and stuff. It's pretty wild.
Dude, why aren't you sharing any of this in the chat? I didn't know it was like that. I'm so yeah, I don't really keep up with it
Yeah,
like that. That's
his brother,
wild.
Super Bowl champion, who played for the Patriots with Aaron Hernandez, knows Aaron Hernandez. Um, and then now he played for the Cardinals for a while, or he started with the Cardinals, went to the Patriots, and then now is on the Raiders. Is having like a full out mental break, like just completely like schizophrenic. He's like on schizo time right now. He's been like that for months. The Raiders had to just let him go. They're like, we did a wellness check on him. We couldn't get anything from him. And the only thing anyone knows of him, as far as what I've seen, is that he does these like cryptic ass tweets. And
Mhm.
he's done Instagram live saying like Aaron Hernandez was an Illuminati sacrifice. He goes on like these who in the NFL is pedophiles, all kinds of crazy shit.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah. And John is cut from the same cloth. I mean,
Yeah, bro.
we've seen it.
Yeah.
Not to that extent. I don't want to be. I don't
Something's
want
really
to
wrong.
like talk out of pocket, but yeah.
Something is really
Damn.
wrong with Brother Chandler. It's not right. Like you can see it in his face. Like, damn, this fool's like
I hope he
he's on.
gets. I hope he gets the help that he needs. Actually, not to
Yeah, it would
make
be
too much
hard
fun
because
of it.
he's like a multi millionaire Super Bowl champion. It's
You
really
can.
hard. People are just going to enable him. So
Yeah, yeah. It's really easy to insulate yourself when you have that much money. Or I'd imagine it is. Not like I would fucking know, but
yeah.
but yeah, crazy. All right. Let's see. We've talked about the new heavyweight fight. The last thing to talk about, which is kind of related to all of this, is our boxing fight that's coming up this weekend.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay.
Bit of a spectacle. A fight that you were very, very insistent that just wasn't going to happen, especially when we found out that Fury versus Usyk was signed. Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou are going to go at it this Saturday, the October 28th. It's happening. I don't even know who's fighting on the undercard. I don't care. I don't care a whole ton about this fight. I have not been convinced that it'll be competitive in the least. I don't follow Tyson Fury as a boxer. I don't follow boxing very much, but I saw some of the open workouts, and I've seen Tyson Fury box before, and Francis Ngannou is just not giving us anything. Like, I'm happy for the guy. I'm happy that he's going to get paid. I don't think he realizes that he's not doing enough to sell this fight to anybody, though. Like,
Right.
he's probably going to get paid a lot of money, and I think a lot of people surrounding this fight are going to wipe their hands of it and be like, okay, we're glad we got that experiment out of the way. We're out of the Francis Ngannou business. Because, I mean, you could make a lot more money getting influencers to get in there and box than
Right.
however, whatever heaven and earth they had to move to make this fight actually happen. I don't know if you have a take that you want to share on it, but
I don't. I mean, it's playing out the way I thought it would, but just not in the way. Just not the exact type of thing. I just thought it wouldn't happen at all. I think they're like, well, we have to fucking do it. We made this big old deal. It's like they're trapped. They're like painted themselves into a corner. Like they have to do it. Like, or else it's like a scam, kind of like their scams out. I think Fury. It shows Fury never intended on doing this. He was just always talking shit. he got paid into a corner, and now he's like, fuck it, I got to do this now. So it's going to be very weird to see. You're 100% right about the influencer boxing thing. More people would probably pay to see it. It's, man, I really hope that, because there's just been, speaking of influence boxing, like Jake Paul has been knocking out, you know, Woodley. He's not, or the Paul brothers knocked out Woodley. They've knocked out who cares about Ben Askren, but, Anderson Silva, you're talking about Nate Diaz, like these, like boxers, MMA boxers has been like L after L after L.
Yes.
And this is like where supposedly Francis is the baddest man on the planet, according to him. So now all of a sudden, if he takes like a crazy wild L, then it's gonna dry up the pockets of a lot of retired MMA fighters that want to go off and do influence boxing. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point. On paper, like this fight should be intriguing. It should be interesting because we do have the lineal UFC heavyweight champion versus like the best current, boxing heavyweight champion. Like that's what we technically the same thing that we had. Well, I mean, it's a little bit different than what Conor and Mayweather was because Mayweather was officially retired at the time.
Right.
But this ain't that. Like this is quite literally, like you said, this is the best heavyweight MMA fighter versus the best heavyweight boxer, and you really just do get the sense, especially knowing that Usyk fight is, I believe it's officially booked, right?
Yeah, it is.
That tells me that Fury is not going in there to carry Ngannou. Like I really believe he intends to go in there, get his check, and fucking clock this guy. Like he's probably going to sleep him, and it's going to be a very, very bad look. And you're right about it, like really drying up the potential money in these crossover boxing matches for MMA fighters, because it's
anyone really,
it's a thing, like you said. Francis Ngannou is technically the baddest man on the planet. When you're the baddest man on the planet, you don't sign up to fight somebody under baddest man with boxing gloves rules. Like it's,
right.
But I mean, you're never going to be able to dangle a big enough carrot to get Fury to come and strap on the 4-ounce gloves. So it is what it is, man.
They were keeping track of how Stipe looks, what the fight might do. They were tracking like early metrics for buys, and they're like, this might be like on point with Francis fucking and Tyson Fury. And this does not look good either way. We're going to look bad. So let's just like get this John Jones fight booked and everybody forget. And we'll do it ourselves later on. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Like as far as them competing with the boxing match, or
yeah, well, because it's so close, and it was kind of like after the Ngannou fight got announced. And all of a sudden, Dana's like, well, John Jones against Stipe Miocic. And I guarantee you, they sent someone here like, hey, Stipe, how's training going? Oh my God, this guy fucking looks awful, and he's gonna embarrass everybody on fucking television. And
check out my collection of antique fire hoses. Yeah, that's real neat, Stipe. But have you been in the gym?
Is there a heavy back here? Or what's going on? And so they were gonna. Who knows how Tyson Fury and Ngannou's gonna go? Probably not very well, but weekend at Bernie's with Stipe Miocic is not a good look right after that happens. So,
good point. Yeah, as far as like the optics of it, right? Almost pretty much back to back. Yeah, I could. And now I'm picking up what you're laying down. Like, give it a little bit.
I said it in the wrong way. Yeah, gobbledygook brain.
No, let's kind of like see what they're gonna lay down first, and because you're right. I did kind of forget about that. Like the time from when they announced John versus Stipe was absolutely a move to try and steal the thunder of this Fury versus Ngannou fight. So
exactly.
Yeah, man. Maybe we'll have more to talk about after this fight happens. Over under on how long this fight lasts. 3
I think
rounds.
that's decision. It's going to be calm, dancing around, swinging arms, jab, like kind of like just weird.
So so you're
full fight circus weird.
You're
It's
gonna
gonna
go
be weird.
the over, so you think it goes the distance.
Yeah.
I'll go the exact opposite. I'm gonna go with Tyson Fury literally puts him out in the first round, which I know is, when it comes to boxing, that you don't see that often. But I think this is exactly the kind of scenario where that is what should happen. When you think about like the fact that Ngannou has no experience whatsoever in professional boxing.
No, yeah.
Yeah, but that's all based on the fact that the Usyk fight is booked. And then I'm just thinking, okay, like he can't risk, fumbling the bag over potentially getting injured in there with Ngannou, or not losing, but getting rocked or something like that, or letting Ngannou have a moment. I don't know. I do think he's going to go in there and practice some form of self-preservation and just obliterate Ngannou like right out the gate. And fuck, that'd be so messed up. That'll be really messed up if it happens. But
Yeah.
let's see.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, this was a long episode. Thanks for sticking it out. Thanks for the little extra bits of content that you gave me that I'm going to replay for you in the chat later. See if you'll agree with me that it was creepy. If you're still listening,
thank Chandler Jones on you.
I was like, damn, I better call this guy and make sure he's all right. I've been listening to a lot of true crime podcasts over here, so yeah, the police are going to want to listen to this footage if it gets to that. Folks, if you're still listening, thank you for sticking it out with us. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. If you don't want to miss any of our future episodes, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you get notifications. And we will see you in the next episode of The Fight Plug. I'm calling you right now.